What if the most powerful religious leader on the planet stood in the middle of a forgotten war zone, looked the world dead in the eye, and called out the men destroying it by name? Not in a press release. Not in a carefully worded Vatican statement. But live, in front of thousands of people, in one of the most neglected crisis zones on Earth. That is exactly what happened this week. And the world is still shaking from it. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand why this moment could be one of the most historically significant speeches of 2026, why it has world leaders scrambling, and why one former US president is absolutely furious about it. Welcome back, beautiful people, to Royal Chronicles, the channel where we break down the stories that shape our world, decode the power moves of global leaders, and bring you the truth behind the headlines. If you are new here, welcome to the family. Hit that subscribe button right now and tap the notification bell so you never miss a story. We drop new content regularly, and trust me, you do not want to be the last to know. Now let's get into it. The date is April 16, 2026. The city is Bamenda, Cameroon, a place that most international news cameras abandoned years ago, even as blood continued to soak its streets. Pope Leo XIV traveled to this western Cameroon city, where jubilant crowds clogged the roads, blowing horns and dancing. They were overjoyed that a pope had come so far to see them and to put a global spotlight on the violence that has traumatized this region for nearly a decade. Think about that for a moment. These are people who have been living in the shadow of a simmering civil war. People who the world forgot. And here comes the leader of the Catholic Church, stepping off a plane, walking into their pain, and refusing to be silent about it. The conflict in Cameroon's Anglophone regions has left thousands dead, rooted in the country's complex colonial and post-colonial history. And yet, for years, it has been called one of the world's most neglected crises. No major summits. No emergency UN sessions. Just suffering, quiet, invisible suffering. Pope Leo XIV changed that on Thursday. Inside St. Joseph's Cathedral in Bamenda, before a packed congregation in the eyes of the global press, Pope Leo XIV delivered remarks that Vatican insiders are already describing as unusually forceful, even by papal standards. He did not whisper. He did not hedge. He thundered. He blasted leaders who spend billions on wars and declared that the world was being ravaged by a handful of tyrants, urging a decisive change of course. Let that sink in. The Pope of the Catholic Church, standing on African soil, publicly declaring that the world is being held hostage by tyrants. But he did not stop there. He decried leaders who use religious language to justify wars, calling out one of the most dangerous hypocrisies of our time, the weaponization of God's name to spill blood. And then came the line that has been quoted in newsrooms from Lagos to London. The world is being ravaged by a handful of tyrants, yet it is held together by a multitude of supportive brothers and sisters. Powerful, defiant, hopeful, all in one breath. He then turned his gaze to the billions being wasted on destruction. He pointed out that billions of dollars are spent on killing and devastation, yet the resources needed for healing, education and restoration are nowhere to be found. And in a phrase that felt almost poetic in its gravity, the pontiff said, "The masters of war pretend not to know that it takes only a moment to destroy, yet often a lifetime is not enough to rebuild." My people, when was the last time you heard a world leader speak this plainly? Now, here is where it gets even more fascinating, because this speech did not happen in a vacuum. Pope Leo's African trip comes amid his strong opposition to the ongoing US and Israeli-led war with Iran, and his calls for peace have drawn sharp criticism from the White House. That's right. Just days before this historic visit, US President Donald Trump attacked Pope Leo on social media, causing widespread dismay across Africa and beyond. And rather than retreat or tone things down, the Pope boarded a plane to one of the most conflict-ridden corners of the world and doubled down on his message of peace. This is a man who is not afraid. After arriving in the Cameroon capital Yaoundé, Pope Leo also urged the government of the Central African nation, led by President Paul Biya, at 93 the world's oldest sitting ruler, to root out corruption and resist the whims of the rich and powerful. He also addressed the exploitation of Africa's resources directly. During a mass attended by around 20,000 people, he criticized foreigners who exploit Africa's wealth, saying they contribute to widespread poverty and underdevelopment. No diplomatic cushioning. No walking on eggshells. This is a pope who is choosing sides, and the side he has chosen is the people. One of the most remarkable moments of this visit was not just the speech, it was what the pope did inside that cathedral before he even opened his mouth. Leo presided over a peace meeting involving a Mencan traditional chief, a Presbyterian moderator, an imam and a Catholic nun, highlighting the interfaith movement that has been seeking to end the conflict and care for its many victims. A chief, a Protestant pastor, a Muslim imam, a Catholic nun, all in one room, all working toward peace. Leo said he was heartened the crisis had not degenerated into a religious war, and expressed hope that Christian and Muslim leaders could mediate an end to the fighting. In a world being torn apart along religious and ethnic lines, Bamenda is showing us another way. And the Pope called it exactly that. Bamenda, today you are the city on the hill, resplendent in the eyes of all. He declared. So what does all of this mean for the world? It means that the moral voice of over 1 billion Catholics on this earth has chosen Africa as the stage for his boldest message yet. It means that no amount of social media attacks from powerful politicians can silence a man on a mission. And it means that the forgotten crises of our world, the wars that don't trend, the famines that don't get primetime coverage, the people dancing in the streets just because someone finally showed up, are beginning to find their champion. Pope Leo XIV did not come to Cameroon to take pretty photos. He came to speak truth to power. And speak he did. He called for the time to restore the mosaic of unity, bringing together the diversity and riches of the country and the continent, saying it must happen today and not tomorrow, now and not in the future. That is a call to action. For all of us. If this story moved you, if this video opened your eyes to something you didn't know before, please give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment below with your thoughts, and most importantly, share this video. Someone in your circle needs to see this. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Royal Chronicles and join thousands of people who refuse to let the world's most important stories pass them by. Until next time, stay informed, stay awake, and remember, the world is not just shaped by tyrants. It is held together by us. Peace.